I remember that night vividly. The clock neared midnight as I boarded the last train heading home, weariness weighing down my eyelids after an endless day at work. The train was practically deserted, just a handful of passengers scattered throughout the dimly lit cars, their faces shadowed and indistinct. I found a seat by the window, the cool glass pressing against my forehead, a momentary comfort. The whistle blew and the train lurched forward. The rhythmic clatter of the wheels on the tracks became a monotonous lullaby, coaxing me into a state of near sleep. But just when I began to drift off, a sudden high-pitched squeal of metal jolted me awake. I brushed it off as the brakes or some mechanical issue. Minutes passed, and an eerie silence settled over the car. Then, out of the corner of my eye, I saw a shadow move at the far end of the carriage. I turned my head quickly, but no one was there. My heart rate quickened. I tried to convince myself it was nothing, a trick of the dim lighting. As the train sped through the night, I couldn't shake the feeling of being watched. I glanced around, half expecting to meet a pair of eyes fixed on me, but all I saw were the slumped forms of exhausted commuters. Yet, the sense of unease continued to grow, gnawing at the edges of my sanity. A soft whisper broke the silence, barely audible over the hum of the train. "Help me." The words were faint, almost like a breeze but unmistakable. I scanned the car, but everyone seemed oblivious. I stood up, my legs shaky, and walked towards the sound. With each step I took, the whisper grew louder, more urgent. I reached the end of the car and froze. A dark figure stood in the doorway, its features obscured, save for a pair of glowing eyes piercing through the darkness. "Who are you?" I stammered, my voice cracking. The figure didn't respond, just turned and moved through the door to the next carriage. Compelled by an unexplainable force, I followed. As I crossed the threshold, the temperature plummeted, my breath visible in the icy air. The car was empty, yet I felt a presence, something malevolent and ancient. The whisper resumed, louder and more insistent. "Help me. Come closer." I took hesitant steps, the walls seeming to close in around me. Suddenly a hand, cold and clammy, grabbed my wrist. I spun around, coming face to face with the figure. Its eyes burned with an unnatural light, and a sinister grin spread across its face. "What do you want?" I gasped, trying to pull away. It leaned in, its breath like a winter chill. "Your soul," it hissed. A surge of terror fueled my muscles, and I wrenched my arm free, stumbling back towards the door. Just as I reached it, the train screeched to a halt, nearly throwing me off balance. The lights flickered, and I dared a final glance back. The figure was gone. Shaking, I stepped off the train onto the platform, my heart pounding like a drum. The train began to move again, disappearing into the night. As I stood there trying to gather my thoughts, a realization hit me. I wasn't the first to encounter that presence. As the whispers faded into the distance, a chilling thought crossed my mind. It was waiting for the next lonely traveler to board the midnight train.